we'll get into that when we get into that. Some of this, I'm going to have a lot of fun mocking the President of the United States. So hopefully no one in the chat room will get triggered by the idea of me mocking the President of the United States. So, um, we'll just move on with that. That's today's scheduled programming. So, as we begin,
only the really, I hate to say this, but those with the lowest IQ.
So here we have an article from The Hill. Half of Republicans in new poll say election was rigged. Stolen from Trump. Oh my god. I'm sorry. I'm just going to play it again. I'm sorry.
Only the really, I hate to say this, but those with the lowest IQ.
I really like half of Republicans. All right, let's read. This is coming out of The Hill. I believe this is a Reuters Ipsos poll. And they did one of these, I think a week ago, but now they're doing another one. So, roughly half of Republicans believe President Trump rightfully won the election, with 68% saying they had concerns about a rigged vote counting process in favor of President-elect Joe Biden, according to a new Reuters Ipsos opinion poll released Wednesday. Hello, Bodan in the chat room. Overall, 73% of Americans polled in the November 13th to 17th survey say they believe Biden won the election. Well, 5% say they thought Trump won the election. I'm guessing those are the people that never turn their TVs on, right? However, only 29% of Republicans believe that Biden had rightfully won, compared to 52% of Republicans who said about the same about Trump. The poll also reported that 55% of adults believed the 2020 election was legitimate and accurate, a 7 percentage point decrease from a similar poll released following the 2016 election. That is like a combination of like the Russia thing combined with the mail-in ballots combined. It's like this is a Democrat and Republican like goal. They have been trying to make us have less and less faith in our electoral institutions. That's what they've been trying to do, at least since 2016. Right? Now, again, there was a court case that ruled that the Democrats have every right to rig their primary process, and they did it 2 times in a row, right? So the Democrats have lost faith on that end. I don't believe that our election process was safe or secure, personally. Do I think that it was unsafe enough or unsecure enough to have Trump win? No. But I think the idea that there's voting lines, the idea that it would take 3 hours to vote in Georgia, that's not safe and that's not secure. That is voter suppression. I don't know why voter suppression is never really factored into these polls. It's, oh, do you feel like Russia hacked the election? Do you feel like Biden hacked the election? Well, what about Republicans having one polling place in all of a certain county in Texas? Just one polling place? Is that secure? Is that safe? But that's my opinion on that. Oh, Jesus, I hate these little pop-ups. On November 7th, after a days-long tally of absentee ballots across U.S. states, the Associated Press and other major news outlets officially called the race for Biden, although Trump has since refused to concede, citing unsubstantiated claims of widespread voter fraud and an attempt by Democrats to steal the election. These claims followed months of Trump's repeated allegations without evidence that voting by mail was a practice rampant with voter fraud. But again, 55%? Okay, wait. I think which number was the dangerous one? Okay. So 52% of Republicans say that Trump rightfully won the presidential election. Now, there was a poll done before that was like 3%, now this time 5%, thought that Trump already won. And that's like the QAnon kind of thing. I would say that if you're going to measure QAnon in any one of these polls, I would say, has Trump already won? That's probably the QAnon stuff, right? The idea that Trump isn't battling in the courts. I mean, obviously Trump is battling in the courts, right? So it takes one special sort of fiend in order to think that Trump already won. But again, there's 2 ways to read this poll. Now, in the primaries through this year, 96% of Republicans voted for Donald Trump, 4% voted for Bill Weld and Joe Walsh, whoever the fuck those people are. Okay? And so, 96% of support in a party, and only half of them fall in line with your coup attempt. That's interesting. That's super interesting. Now again, 50% of Republicans, that's a hefty amount of people. That's about maybe 10 to 15% of the population. And that's a relatively significant margin. So if it turns out that amount of people actually think that Trump rightfully won the election, I mean, it's one thing to talk about this in November, but when January comes around and there's going to be an actual transition of power, I wonder what those 52% of Republicans are going to do. I wonder. I really do. I don't know what they're going to do. But it's kind of scary to think about, to be honest. But yeah, there's a new poll. Apparently, more and more Republicans. It's getting more and more feasible, for Republicans at least, to buy that Trump is stealing this election. Now, they might even be on their nose and say, I don't care if they're stealing it. I don't care if it's legitimate. I just want my guy in there. I wonder how much of an influence that kind of mentality weighs there. I feel like that's probably a considerable portion, if not the entirety, of that 5% who thinks Trump already won. Whatever that means. I don't know. I don't know what that means. But either way, pretty scary stuff. Definitely not looking good.